Welcome. We're on episode 1, Sobriety. In this I want to cover a couple bases. The early days, sort of the dark parts, what led me to get clean and sober, and then sort of where I'm at now. But first of all, I'd like to start with a Bible verse. So, 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. This is the verse that I use to remind myself to be of sober mind. Whenever I think like, oh, that would be nice to be able to have a beer, I just remember that. Because I know that when I take that step into drinking again, I will be letting, however you would say it, the devil into play. So using that, it just reminds me to stay sober. I'm a much better person sober. Whilst some people might think that I'm not as fun or outgoing, or I'm certainly more sheltered sober. I used alcohol as a mask, so definitely something that I use. Not often. I think I'm pretty good now. So I'm pretty good in the sense that, I don't long for a beer after work or anything like that anymore. I'm pretty happy with how I feel, not having that be a part of my life. But we should start at the early days. And those early days were definitely, it's what I seen in my life. I seen everybody around me drinking. Every family gathering had alcohol involved. All my friends' families, they all drank alcohol. We'd go for a visit and they're drinking. And, in Australian culture, or it's probably not just Australian culture, but man, we drink. We drink a lot. And I don't think people realise how much we rely on it. So it was only natural that I was going to follow that path. Weekends, house parties and whatnot, and all of those sorts of things. It's just, that's the standard Australian teenage years. And then we just started dabbling with marijuana or weed, buds. And then it was just a weekend thing. We'd just go and get lit on the weekends and think nothing of it. We'd just get wrecked. It was always, if we were doing it at someone's parents' house, then the parents got along, and it wasn't a big deal because the parents knew we were safe and or whatever, however you want to look at that, and so be it. Then as I started getting older, it's a little bit of this more and a little bit of that more, and we're smoking a lot more each day, and then it's from the morning to the night. We'll see how early we can start and keep going, and then by the end of it we're doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and hope to get up for work on Monday. Most of the times I didn't. This is around 2010, 2011, something like that. Maybe a bit earlier, sort of. But I remember 2012 was a hectic year. There was a lot of, we'd started doing MDMA pills and whatnot, ecstasy. and we were eating a lot of them. I mean, I was eating a lot of them. Me and a couple of mates I never had money, so I mean, realistically, like, a lot of my mates paid for it, and I owed them. I probably still owe a lot of them. I know I still owe a lot of them a lot of money. Now, whether I'm going to correct that in the future, I don't know. Is that something that I just leave behind me? I think so. That's how I feel about it. We've all moved on anyways. It's not like it's brought up or anything like that, and I paid what I could when I could, and then after that, 2012, then we started getting pretty serious. Started doing meth here and there, and then all the time. That just grabbed. It's that what they say about it is pretty true. It's very addictive. And then I was going back and forth between places, and I don't have to go into too much of it. I'm not trying to... This isn't a life story, but it was getting pretty bad. I had friends comment on, hey man, do you need help, or are you okay? Or there was a whole year where I lived in a flat. I don't really remember any of it. I was a terrible tenant. I was a terrible neighbour. People probably look at me from that time in my life and think like, yeah, that's who that dude is. And that's pretty shit feeling, because that's not who I am now, but I was. So I can't hold them accountable for what they think about me. And I just remember I started talking to my girlfriend at the time. She was now my wife. We've been on and off our whole lives, basically due to me. But I just said to her one time, like, oh, I want to get better. I don't want to be like this anymore. And we planned a trip. And we went from Whyalla all the way to the Great Ocean Road on the East Coast, and we camped, and it was sort of like a separation on the trip. I got rid of all my Facebook and all that, and basically detoxed from everything, which was really good, It worked well. I cut pretty much everyone out. It was the only way that I could do it and successfully achieve what I wanted over time. I was still not 100% because I was still smoking bongs. I was still doing that, but it was a lot better. So I was still seeing some people, but a lot of the ice people I'd cut off. So that was pretty good. And then I was still smoking with a couple mates, and I had a bad experience on that, and it was just very different to any other bad experience that I'd ever had. To be honest, I'd never really had lots of bad experiences with drugs. I was always pretty good at taking them. It was well known that I was comfortable taking a lot of drugs. And this it rocked me. I thought I was having a brain meltdown. I thought I was going to be stuck or something. I don't know. I thought I'd gone too far. And it wasn't even anything potent. Evidently, it was. And at that point, I just gave it up. Gave it all to my mate and said, I'm done. No more. And time went on, and then I moved to Adelaide, and I kept just dabbling in things here and there, dabbling. I was still drinking, and at the end of it, I just got rid of Facebook and everything again. Got a new phone number. I just literally cut everybody out. Which, maybe it's not, if you were my friend at the time, and that's a bit weird. But I just had to. Everybody I knew wasn't at the point, they weren't in the point of life that I was at. And I had to cut everybody out. Because being around people that I'd done stuff with made me want to do stuff. Because it was like, catch up with your old mate and then do it. So I just cut everyone out. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know, but I got sober. And I'm dabbling on and off, still drinking, and I was drinking a lot. I think I was substituting, not doing anything else. And then I got in trouble with the police. And court proceedings and whatnot, and nothing deadly on anybody, or no like, I was drunk, I got done for assault on a police officer, and obviously that's a serious charge. The circumstances we don't need to go into, because it wasn't really, like, I'm not saying I was hard for doing it, like, that's not what I'm saying. What I did was pretty weak, number one, and not proud of it. I think it's pretty piss poor on my part. And I said that in the court. I said, like, it was alcohol. I'm not normally like that. And so basically I got put on a good behaviour bond. I wasn't allowed to drink alcohol. I wasn't allowed into the CBD in Adelaide for 18 months. I had a big fine. And because they told me I wasn't allowed to drink, so I got sober, and I was running in that time. And I was trying to work out. I had a couple of different mates, which I still really appreciate those people. I'd got a new job. I'd had my son, my first child, and I was trying to work it out. I was trying to be a good dad. I was stressed out of my brain, because every new parent is. And really it was just I had to be sober, and I had to ignore everybody. So that's what I did. Absolutely and undeniably cut everybody out, and it worked. So what sort of role did God play in that, I guess? Because I'm mixing all of these things together. I had come across Peter 5:8 a couple of times, and I'd also come across things about, like, the 12-step program is a religious program, and I don't know, because I never did it, but I thought, well, maybe there's something in there that I could look at, something I can go towards or lean on. So I started looking more, and during the proceedings of the court case, I remember praying one time when I was out on a run. Not really praying, but begging. Just looking up at the sun coming through the clouds, and like saying, God, if you're real, don't let me go to jail. Because they were going to send me to jail. And I didn't have a lawyer. And I just remember saying, like, and I don't know what it was, like, I got emotional and I felt it. And then I never went to jail. You know, I said I'd stay clean, and I'd study the Bible, and if you just prove to me with this small thing, don't let me go to jail, I'll straighten up my life. And I didn't go to jail. And I only half straightened up my life. I was still pretty shit, to be honest. So that's sort of the role that God played in getting me sober. And from then, I just focused on running, or like lifting weights and looking after myself and working, because I had a kid and my wife needed me, and I'd never really had people need me before. So there was a lot of stress on that. And I thought, if I drink or do drugs, like one time we'd have like New Year's, we'd go for drinks, and then we'd be shit after it. We'd be crook for like a week. Mentally, I was foggy for like 3 days after. It was horrible. So I didn't want to do that anymore. So My wife did the same thing. Whenever I quit drinking, she joined me. Like, that's the dedication she had for me. The support. So the least that I could do was support her equally by pulling my own weight. I mean, if she could do that for me, I could do that for her. So, at the end of it, there's a few things that, if you want to get sober, I would look at who you hang around. I would look at your triggers and try to alleviate stress, because that's a big trigger. So whenever I felt like I was stressed or something, I would go for a run, because a run would calm the brain. That was equal to 2 cans for me. And I smoked then as well, smoked cigarettes. Giving up cigarettes made it even easier, because every time I wanted to go out for a smoke, I'd want to have a drink with it, like a whiskey or something. So getting rid of all of that, and I know they're all very hard, but you just do one little thing at a time. Like, I did mine in stages. I got off the pills and then the meth, and I was still smoking weed and drinking, and then I got off weed and I was still drinking, and then I was smoking cigarettes and drinking, and then I quit drinking. I was trying to quit smoking and still drinking, but then when I drank, I would want a cigarette. And then, so both of them were hand in hand. Like, I couldn't shake those two, so I vaped for a little bit, and that made me crook. That made me so sick. And then I just stopped. I just went, nope, I'm done. And it was like, I got to the point where my brain went, nope, no more. And hopefully, if you put in enough places where your body like your brain and your body knows you stopped that, guess what? I can stop this as well. Like, it's all up here. Prior to wanting to stop myself, nobody could have got me to stop. And that may be disheartening to some people to hear, because they're looking for that outlet, but you need to develop your mind into the place where you can say, that's no good for me and I don't want to do it. So if this was something you were hoping you could watch and find an easy way out, I don't think there is. I would recommend reading the Bible. I would recommend meditating. However, prayer, they're all a way that you can work within yourself to become sober. It worked for me, at least, and I do know other people that it's worked for. So there's always that. And that's sort of really all I have to cover on this. So if we look at it, remove friends that only hang out with you for that particular thing. Like, if you don't go and hang out with somebody other than drinking with them, don't hang out with that person anymore. If you want to stop, this is purely if you want to stop, right? So those people, you have to be harsh to be kind to yourself. Then remove your triggers. I would recommend prayer, or if you're not that way inclined, meditation of some kind, or the research of your own brain. Know what will help you. And then surround yourself with different people, right? I got a mate that had never touched alcohol in his life, and I was blown away at how cool his life was. Like, the things he was into, like hiking and fashion and like just different stuff, cars, and he had the money to do all of it because he wasn't pissing it away every weekend. Really respect that guy. A true friend as well. Like, not like he just wanted to hang out. If he invited me to stuff, he would always invite the wife and the kids. Like, it was never just you. I respect that massively. It means a lot, because for me, marriage it's all of us. So you invite me, that's all of us. So get people like that. And then tell your friends and family. Tell them, hey man, like one of the hardest things when I started hanging out with people again from my past was I had to have that conversation like, hey mate, please don't ask me to hang out. I will deny you because I'm your friend, but I can't hang out anymore. If I see you, it'll be like nothing's changed, but please don't ask me to hang out until you're ready, right? Or meet at a safe place. Like my mate's got a cafe. That's a great place for me to catch up with people because it's a cafe, number one. There's no alcohol. It's family friendly. It's just a good hangout place. They're great people. It's good fun. So I'm comfortable catching up and having a coffee and something there. And we can like shoot the shit and talk, do the general catch up that needs to be done between mates. They're probably the 5 things that I would recommend doing. So take that how you will, write it down, and then go by it. Peter 5:8 helps me heaps. Matthew 5:33 is great, like really good. We can give me a moment. Should where is it? Here we go. Matthew 5. Matthew 5:33. Oaths. Again you have heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not swear falsely, but shall perform to the Lord what you have sworn. That, if you make an oath, that's what got me, right? I begged and I prayed to God, don't send me to jail and I'll fix my life up. So then I read that and I kept seeing 5:33 everywhere. So I just Googled it, Bible verse 5:33, and Matthew 5:33 came up, and it was the oath, and it wigged me out big time. So it creeped me out big. And from that point on, I just had to follow through with what I said. I had to fix up my life. I had to be sober, and I had to keep true to my word. So you find things like that will help you. Yeah, I think that's episode 1. That's sobriety. I mean, you can do it if you want to. It's really there. So, I think I'm going to end these episodes with a prayer. You can say it with me you can't say it with me. I'm going to make it up on the fly. But I'm going to pray at the end of each one of these, and they're going to have a corresponding... They're going to correspond to the end of it. So... Heavenly Father, I ask you to watch over each and every one that watches this video, and anybody else out there struggling with alcohol and substance abuse. I ask you to show them the light. Show them that they have the strength within them that you gave them in the breath of the air that you blew up the nostril of man. I ask you to show them that they can be strong and they can be bold and true to themselves without the need of alcohol and substances. I ask you to help them the way you helped me. Change their lives like you changed mine. And please, Lord, guide them with every step that they take in the way that they need. Amen. Toy car. Toyota Crown. Sick as. That's that. I hope to see you at episode 2. Thanks for stopping by. Like and subscribe if you want. No pressure. If you want to leave a comment, ask me about anything, I'll do my best to reply. And I hope that I can see you for episode 2, which is going to be about relationship struggles. Cheers.